Hey everybody, Dimitri here with Serg Supply, and I'm standing in front of a Sprinter 170. This is a build we've completed in our shop. It's just about finished, but I wanted to walk you through everything in here because, believe it or not, this is almost entirely Serg Supply products. And I'm excited to show you a little bit more on why we did it, how we did it, and how it's going to come to fruition when we have the finished product ready. First thing you'll notice walking in this van are the bench seats. Now, two different types of seats really. There's bench seats and there's swivel seats. We purchase everything through JMG. We actually install them both in our California and Florida facility. The reason for the bench seats and not swivel seats is because most feedback we get from customers is that they are swiveling the front to turn around and talk to the people sitting in the back, and it's very rare that everybody's swiveling. So for that reason, to save space and give you a lot more walking room in and out of the vehicle, we went with the double bench seat setup. If you're curious about these seats and you want to learn more about them, see the different options, we do have a link below in the description to check those out. All right, so the next thing you're going to notice moving further into the van is this Galley. It's a standard 40-inch universal kitchen unit. The setup is actually very common for this unit. It's just a sink with the smaller Dometic CRX 65 refrigerator. Main question, do I want to do a 65 or an 80? Honestly, it's up to you. Personally, we've never had need for a big refrigerator because most of these trips are short and quick. So something small to hold a couple of items of food and some cold beers is usually enough to do the job, especially if the priority is storage, which, mind you, if you have the smaller fridge, you do have the additional drawer box down below to hold some of the lesser accessed goods for cooking that you may not need to get to regularly. Now, as with any other Galley, this comes standard with our sink. The sink is collapsible, so you can pull the faucet out. And if you use one of our pre-prepared, pre-wired, pre-plumbed water systems, this is as easy as plugging in 12-volt wire leads and you're done. This is operated with two independent rocker switches, one that powers your plumbing, your water pump, and another rocker switch that powers the fridge. You may not want to leave both of them on all the time. It just gives you the ability to turn them on and off when you need to. Now, one of the items that stands out the most are the stealth overhead cabinets. This is actually two 40-inch sections joined together. We wanted to have storage space over the front seat and over the kitchen area. Didn't want it to bleed into the back. You've probably seen our videos on our overhead cabinets already. I don't need to dive too deep into the specifics, but this setup makes it real easy and convenient to access some more cooking goods, some kind of spices, dry goods, oats, whatever up here, and then you can store clothes, whatever you need to in the front. We like this setup. We almost always fill up the front driver's side wall with cabinets. It seems to be one of the more easy to access and reliable storage spaces. Believe it or not, we tend to not fill up the rear driver's side wall. Main reason being, if you have a bed there, you don't want to be bumping your face every time you're moving in and out of that thing. But either way, you also pay attention closely and see that this cabinet takes up most of the outer two rows. This is a standard depth cabinet. This is not the low pro. If you're looking for something a little bit less invasive, takes up a little less space, our low pro cabinets come in just over the second outside row at 12.5 inches. There's a link below for those guys. You can check out the difference between the two if you'd like. And let's move on. All right, we're in the back of the van. Let's talk core items. The core items are three products that make up just about every van build we do, regardless of layout. That's going to be the floors, the walls, and the ceiling. This is the most common kind of selection layout we see in most Sprinter builds, Transit builds, and Promaster builds. This floor is our standard flooring kit. It is a layer of 3/4 load-bearing birch as an insulation frame with Havelock between the sections. We have a layer of 1/2-inch birch on top of that as our subfloor. And mind you, all these pieces are dovetailed together so we don't have any seams or overlaps. And the last piece is just a lawn sealed coating. This is like a faux wood. I think it's the Lawn Wood Dakota series. This is what we use for all of our floors. It's nice, it's sturdy, it's a marine grade. You can mount stuff to it. It's load bearing, and it's just something you never have to worry about. And more importantly, it's keeping all that heat in or that cold out, whatever season you're in. It's doing its job and making sure your floor is insulated and not making your life miserable on the road. You notice the walls are upholstered. This is our standard upholstery kit. You can get it. There's actually a link in the description to check that product out, but it comes in a DIY or a pre-upholstered look. Upholstery is not difficult. It's just time consuming unless you do some unique pieces that then in fact make it quite difficult. But in any case, this is a Marathon gray mix tweed. You'll notice there's no visible hardware on this one. Most of our wall panel kits come with hardware, either stainless steel or black oxide. But for our local installations in both our California and Florida facility, we do offer the option for hidden hardware. The walls in this van kind of speak for themselves. They're beautiful, they look great, and more importantly, they're actually functional. They come on a marine grade Meranti core that takes really well to glue. It has a Landau foam layer that's got some thermal and acoustic and sound deadening properties. And last but not least, we have our moisture wicking Marathon gray mix on top for a nice beautiful finish. Now the ceiling is the last part of this build, and believe it or not, we do the ceiling the same way every single time. We've got it down to a T, and let me tell you why we do it this way. Max air fan we always put in the front, because the max air fan does one thing. It pulls hot air out of the van when it gets too toasty, and we found, at least in our experience and feedback from upfitters, most of the hot air is coming from the front of the van. You've got all that glass, you've got the windows, you've got the headliner, most of the heat's coming in from the front, and that hot air needs to get out right away. So the fan's usually in zone 2 or zone 1 in the front. In this case, it's in technically zone 2. Depending on what van you have, it might change, but we keep it generally oriented over the slider door, and we have our AC in the back. That's a Nomadic X2, X3 series. You can use either of them. We love this air conditioner because it's a nice flush finish. We do often install Domestics and some rec fans, but this honestly is our favorite look. This is paired with the EcoFlow Independence 5 kilowatt hour system, so it's really nice and simple to have a 48 volt plug in directly to that AC unit. If you want to learn more about that, there's a link for that, but let's move right on ahead. Before I dig into these benches, I want to apologize for the dust. We're a manufacturing company and it gets a little dusty in here, but this is our bench bed system. I've removed the actual bed panels themselves. As you can tell, I'm sitting in here. They're out of the way, they're out of the van, but usually you'd have panels sitting here that turn your bench into a bed. And in this case, I'm taking them out to show you a bit of a closer look on what this system looks like and why we built it the way we did. It's a little bit deeper than your average wheel well box because it's meant to fit a full power system on this side, water system on that side, or vice versa. And if you don't have either, it will make for a very generous amount of space for storage. Now for water, you can do the water tank. A lot of people do it over the wheel well or under the actual spare tire carrier tank. But one of the products that we love pairing this with this product lately is actually the rinse kit plus heater combo. There's a link for those below too if you want to check them out. That is a fantastic pairing if you want something a little more simple for your water system. You'll notice the side access door on this bench. It's usually on both sides, but for this particular build, we chose to mount the power system on that back wall. We have one of our pre-wired outlet kits right here. If you don't want to wire your own outlet kit, you can check them out. Otherwise, putting them on the sides of the boxes is, in my opinion, one of the best things you could do. There's still space to mount your outlets, whether it be 12 volt, 110, 120, what have you, with our doors, but in this case, because of that panel mounting system the way it is, that's how we chose to do it. Now this access door, you have the same compression latch, fully adjustable as with any other kind of door pull-out drawer on our cabinets, but this one makes it really easy and unique to access some of the trickier goods. Maybe it's your rescue equipment, your fire extinguisher, rope, what have you. This is the perfect spot to get it in and out. Now with this build, I mentioned before, we have a rinse kit living in this box. It's made primarily to shower outdoor, rinse your gear off, but this particular customer needed a shower inside when maybe it's too cold or too hot to be outside. That's where this kicks in. It is a Tetravan shower pan built into the floor. It comes with a magnetic curtain that attaches to the ceiling to make it like a really quick pop-up shower to rinse off if you need it. Let's talk the water system. I showed you the rinse kit in the actual wheel well box here, but that's a closed system dedicated just for showering and rinsing off indoor, outdoor. We actually have an entirely different water system with our Galley. We always do a spare tire tank. You can check that out on our site below. It's a 28-gallon tank, and we use it primarily for fresh water actually. So we will run our fresh water under the vehicle, up through the floor into our Galley, and that's going to feed our actual Tech Van sink that's built into the Galley itself. We have teed off both the hot and cold into one line so that you just have a really simple, easy way to get water in and out of that sink. Now, the actual drain, we decided to keep simple. That is a jerry can with a quick attach fitting and a downstream valve to keep things from leaking out. If you're interested in how we put this together, we're going to throw up another video here soon detailing that for you guys. Now, the last thing we haven't covered in this van is this toilet box sitting over here in the corner. This is right next to the entryway. This is more of a stowaway box than an actual usable toilet box. We've seen all kinds of crazy stuff out there on pull-out trays and different kind of collapsible enclosures, but the slides tend to give out, and for that reason, we keep this as a very comfortable stowaway box. Now, the actual unit in here is not One you've probably seen a lot. We love this unit. It's a dry flush version from Serene Life, although this will fit porta potties and most other name brand toilets. We tend to leave the space actually a little bit bigger than the toilet itself, you'll notice, because it's a very convenient way to store, you guessed it, toilet paper or whatever else you might need in there. It keeps the actual toilet from sliding around, and the last thing you want to do is store your toiletry goods in your kitchen or in your boxes. You want to keep it kind of isolated. For that reason, we chose these dimensions on purpose. Now this lid is hinged with soft close hinges, much like all of our other lids, and it's got these nice bumps on the bottom to keep things from vibrating on the road, and a nice little CNC access cutout for your fingertips to grab. You can probably use the toilet in here, although I wouldn't recommend it. Most people just pull these out and use them as needed. This is not a primary use toilet. This is just for emergencies when you need it. This particular build is not made for long-term use or van living per se, but this is just a neat little trick to have some kind of a safety net when you're out for a weekend and just need a place to go potty. Thanks for sticking around for the full video. I hope this gave you some inspiration and possibly some creative ideas on your own van build or potentially build you're planning later in the future. In any case, we're grateful for you sticking around watching the full thing, and as always, happy building.